everybody. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. How you doing out there? Hope you're having a good Wednesday in the waning empire. As we witness the collapse, although I like to witness it like George Carlin does, like Peter Joseph has said he does. You just kind of take a front row seat, you get out your popcorn, and you go, "This is interesting," and you just remove yourself from the situation. Obviously, we can't quite do that because we kind of got to live our lives, unfortunately. But yes, I have an interesting episode for you. We're gonna play little snippets of Trump's amazing unhinged speech at the UN that the whole world is a little bit afraid of. You can imagine what a lot of it was, but there were some gold nuggets in there. Of course, he spoke for an hour when he was supposed to speak for 20 minutes. I don't know who at the UN thought Trump was capable of shutting his dumb pie hole after 20 minutes. Who thought you weren't going to need the little guy with the cane that comes out and like beats you off the stage like the Apollo if they were going to get him out of there? But I'm also going to get into how Charlie Kirk lost his largest Zionist funder, one of his billionaire funders, days before his death. And that is not to say that Israel assassinated him, but it is something we should perhaps know and talk about. And it is quite interesting, the amount of pressure that Charlie Kirk was getting, apparently, for turning somewhat against Israel. He had long been a huge Israel and genocide supporter, and then he started to have a bit of a shift, and his billionaire backers didn't like it so much. We're also going to get into more media consolidation under in the grasp of the billionaire lunatics. And yes, they happen to be Zionists as well. I don't know about happen to be. Actually, it is a little bit by design, but including the sale of TikTok that is upcoming. Also, Google has been forced to admit mass censorship. And of course, Google owns YouTube. So this is also YouTube admitting mass censorship in a way they have never admitted before. And anybody who's followed my stuff for more than 8 minutes knows that I had my largest YouTube channel banned around the world with 250,000 subscribers. That was 3 years ago that was banned for everyone everywhere. And it seems like Google's basically admitting, yeah, we censored all kinds of shit. Also, the Gaza flotilla is heavily under attack. We'll get to that as well. So much coming at you right now. Hit thumbs up, hit share, hit subscribe, even though it doesn't seem to matter because YouTube's not telling people about this show. So you just got to show up. Oh, and because I'm afraid I might forget to tell you later, I'm just going to throw it out here up top. The show in New York City that I was promoting, that I was going to be the moderator of, featuring Richard Wolff, Cornel West, and Chris Hedges, has been canceled, unfortunately, due to safety concerns by the college that was going to be holding it. So, I didn't put that show together, but that is sad to see that happen. So, yes, that show, October 9th, hopefully I or we or some of us will have something going on in New York in not too long. But if you were looking to come October 9th to that event with me, Chris Hedges, and Cornel West, and Richard Wolff, that's not happening. Okay. Let's play a clip of Donald Trump's speech at the UN. Thank you, Virtual Show. Thank you, Virtual Show. I get overly excited, and then I try and say 3 words at once, because why not? Why not speed things up that way? Thank you, Virtual Show, for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Virtuoso says, President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro spoke in front of the UN General Assembly recently, pledging military action against Israel. I feel that the last resort is 2 years too late. What say you? Yeah. I have loved what Petro's been saying recently, but yes, it is 2 years of genocide, which is, but they're stepping up. Colombia's stepping up more than most countries. But okay, I'm going to share some clips from Trump at the UN. there's two reasons I'm going to show them from Means TV. Means TV has Means Morning News, hosted by my friend Sam Sachs, who was once a correspondent on Redacted Tonight. And they put together this montage. So, I want to promote Means TV because I'm now on Means TV. So go over there and grab a subscription, and you can watch Means Morning News whenever you want. But the other reason I'm doing this is sheer laziness. I don't want to have to watch Donald Trump's entire hour-long speech. So instead, I can just grab a montage that Sam Sachs has put together, and we can do it that way. And just to level set, as they say, I will be interrupting this a fair amount because I have to. Oh, and I changed my little background there to it's just some image of utopia. It's some image of the world that humans are not building, but we should, with like all green space and just awesome high-tech buildings. And we have the capability to do all of it, but we're totally fucking not. We're not doing any of that, especially in the United States. But it seemed positive. I like having that in the background. Like I'll walk out of the studio in a minute and I'll just walk into that world, and that'll be better. Anyway, here we go.
Ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help.
So he keeps claiming, that's him continuing to claim that he has ended wars in 7 countries, which is fucking false. I think, well, like for what some of them he can't pronounce, so he clearly has no idea what's going on there. Azerbaijan and Cambodia, he said, that's an impressive war. No one knew that one was going on between Cambodia and Azerbaijan. So it's bullshit. But then on top of that, I think he includes Iran on the list, like Iran and Israel, like he stopped that. No, you just murdered Iranians. That's all you didn't stop it. You increased it. So his list is just garbage.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle.
So he apparently, as he was entering the UN for this speech, he started to get on the elevator with Melania, and the elevator stopped immediately. And he is such a child. He's such a petulant, pathetic sack of child. I'll be polite. He is such a sad sack of child that it is really upsetting to him that the elevator didn't work and ruined his grand entrance to the UN. They then did an investigation because he wanted to like prosecute the activist that stopped the elevator, and they found that his videographer accidentally stopped the elevator. What a fucking child.
Country received no credit, never receives credit. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. Today, many of Iran's...
no, you absolutely should not. That should not happen. You're a lunatic.
Former military commanders. In fact, I can say almost all of them.
But, sorry to interrupt again, but...
Peace Prize for each one.
Kissinger did get the Nobel Peace Prize, and Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize like a month into office. And so the Nobel Peace Prize means nothing. It's largely for war criminals. So in that way, I guess he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, the Nobel Peace Prize was created by the inventor of dynamite. And the reason he created it was because he saw his obituary while he was alive, because they thought he died and he hadn't died. So he saw his obituary and it just said inventor of dynamite. Dynamite's killed a lot of people. And he goes, oh no, that's how I'm going to be known. So he then created the Peace Prize to change his legacy, which he seems to have succeeded at. But it's appropriate. It's named after the guy who invented dynamite, and it's given to war criminals. So maybe Trump should get it.
Of these achievements. Today, many of Iran's former military commanders, in fact, I can say almost all of them, are no longer with us. They're dead. 7 American B-2 bombers.
He killed a bunch. He and Israel killed a bunch of Iranian military commanders. That is true. In a massive war crime, massive crime against a sovereign country, a massive push towards what could have been nuclear war, what could have been a massive war to kill millions. That's all absolutely true. They killed military leaders of a country that hasn't bombed anyone until Israel started attacking it, and then it bombed Israel. So yeah, that is true. Congratulations on being a war criminal. It is very exciting for you, I'm sure.
bombers drop the 30,000-pound each bombs. We have the greatest weapons on earth. And we've recently begun using the supreme power of the United States.
What happened? Okay, that's
The United States military to destroy Venezuela terrorists and trafficking networks led by Nicolas Maduro.
I like how even he sounds like he's going to fall asleep. I'm not surprised the room was going to fall asleep, but even Donald Trump was like, the guys, we bombed the guys in Venezuela. Whatever he normally gets hopped up on is clearly fading that part of the speech. No, he hasn't killed terrorists in Venezuela. He has murdered fishermen. He has obliterated. The first boat had 11 fishermen. They then bombed another boat, killing, I think, 3 more. So they've been murdering a bunch of fishermen. And even if, let's do the even if thing, even if this boat, which one of them was like a skiff, I mean, a pretty small boat with 9 people on it, and he claimed it was running loads of drugs to America or whatever. And a boat that size with 9 people filling the boat, he's not going to have much drugs because there's not hardly any room on it. Like, what they each have a joint? You've killed him for 9 joints. But let's ignore all that. Let's say even if this was a large boat and it had a lot of drugs on it, and he bombed them, murdered them all, and blew up all the drugs, that's still a war crime. It's still illegal. It's still without any kind of due process, any kind of trial. It's still bombing and assassinating other countries' citizens. It's all of those things. The punishment for drug dealing or drug trafficking is not murder. Like, even if they grabbed these guys as they crossed the border of Mexico into the United States and their rectum was just brimming full of all kinds of drugs, even if they did all of that, they can't just shoot them in the head. It's not how the goddamn system works. You can't just shoot them in the head. Oh, drugs coming out the rectum, just fucking kill them. No. So even if you were to give him all of those things, absolute drug trafficker, absolute loads of drugs, absolutely coming to America, all of those things, still can't murder them. It is absolutely unhinged war criminal behavior, even if you give them all that. And of course, your mainstream media does it. They just him and haw. They go, well, they were drug dealers. And then let's add a couple of other things in here. Almost all of the drug trafficking, if it were that and not fishermen, almost all of the drug trafficking is coming from Colombia to the United States. Some of it, a tiny percentage, like 5%, goes through Venezuela. A tiny percentage. Maduro is not a narco trafficker. It is bullshit. So if you really wanted to attack a country, you'd be attacking Colombia. But then on top of that, you've got the fact that they made up a drug cartel, what they call narco terrorists. They just add the word terrorist onto it. They made it up, the Cartel of the Suns, which is not a real thing. They made it up so they could pretend it had to do with Maduro so that they can create a war against Venezuela. That is what this is. And why do they want a war against Venezuela? And no one in your mainstream media will ever tell you this. Top secret, can't be mentioned. Why do they need a war against Venezuela? Say it with me. They have more oil than any country in the world. Any country. More oil than any country. And if that oil, the U.S. doesn't even need the oil. The U.S. just needs to make sure it's not getting sold on the global market outside of U.S. dollars. That would crush the petrodollar. And once you start understanding how these things work, you understand why the U.S. empire behaves the way it do. The way it do. We understand why the U.S. empire behaves the way it do. Wouldn't it be great if I had all this excellent analysis? And I got to be honest with myself. It is excellent analysis, but it was all done in that accent. Would you trust it then? That's the question. But once you understand why they're behaving the way they do, you can understand and predict their behavior. Whereas everybody else trying to cover this shit is just left bewildered. Why is he bombing drug dealers off of Venezuela? What's going on here? Trump's trying to create a war with Venezuela. Why is he doing that? I can tell you why, and nobody wants to talk about it. Sorry for that rant. Let's keep going.
Drugs coming into our country by sea. We call them the water drugs. I bid on the renovation and rebuild.
Call them the water drugs. Oh, this guy's like an 8th grader. It is mental capacity of an 8th grader. I'm probably shooting high. Actually, I'm shooting way high. He totally eats glue sticks when the cameras aren't on him.
Of this very United Nations complex. I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you...
Pretty sure he just said Marlboro floors, which would be tobacco floors, which doesn't surprise me. And anyway, the reason this clip is so funny is him bragging about how he's helped renovate the UN. But of course, if you're giving a speech in front of the UN that was supposed to be 20 minutes long, it's supposed to be on a topic and it's supposed to be important. And instead, he's just standing up there like, let me tell you how great this UN is that I built for everybody. And then he has to insult the elevators because the fact that the elevator stop he's never gotten past that. I think it's because he had to walk upstairs, and that's really difficult for him.
Raza. But they decided to go in another direction, which was much more expensive at the time. As far as I'm concerned, frankly, looking at the building and getting stuck on the escalator, they still haven't finished the job. Uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. You're destroyed.
That's right, because only white people in America matter, and if anybody comes here who's not, it means it's going to ruin everything, and your countries are destroyed if someone's not bright, gleaming white, or in his case, orange. I know, I've made the joke multiple times. Why is it all the white supremacists are different colors? Like, they're not white. Like, the biggest white supremacists, Donald Trump's orange, Steve Bannon's gray. They're not... Steve Bannon looks like a bad liver, like that's taken out of a dead body. It's just like, look at what his liver looked like. That's why he died. That's Steve Bannon's whole face. Why is that?
Destroying your countries. They're being destroyed. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
Look at this crowd. They're half asleep. They're like, fuck, another fascist. Shit. Boring fascist too. I never thought I'd say this next sentence. Say what you will about Hitler. That guy could hold a crowd. All right. Take it from this Jew right here. Say what you will about Hitler. That guy could hold a crowd. He could get a crowd riled up. Donald Trump just bombing, standing there, boring the shit out of everyone. And they're like, a boring fascist? Shit.
What is the purpose of the United Nations? And it's not politically correct. I'll be very badly criticized for saying it, but I'm here to tell the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm in New York City. I'm feeling a lot safer. I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor. Now they want to go to Sharia law projects.
Oh, God. This is him again acting like, crime's the worst it's ever been. In a lot of places, it's the lowest it's been in like 20, 30 years. Now, a lot of that in the U.S. has to do with a combination of mass surveillance and imprisoning everybody. If you have millions and millions of people locked up in prison, you decrease some of the street crime. I also, whenever I have this conversation, want to say that we're always talking about street crime, right? Whenever the lunatics like this guy say crime, they don't mean real crime. They don't mean bigger crime. They don't mean the theft of American lives, the theft of American labor. They don't mean wage slavery. They don't mean stealing healthcare. They don't mean murdering people via poverty, which when they actually analyze the data is like the third or fourth biggest killer of Americans every year is poverty, if you actually analyze it. So it actually is deadly, this kind of crime. But no, none of that crime matters, just whether someone had their car stolen.
under AI. Let's see how good it is, because a lot of people are saying it could be one of the great things ever, but it also can be dangerous. An area is so hot that you couldn't breathe. Dead bodies all over.
I don't, that was obviously taken out of context, whatever it was, but I don't know what he was talking about. But it's just, you can tell it was dumb. Even out of context, you can tell it was dumb.
Getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail.
So he spent a lot of time in this speech going after the green scam, going after immigration and going after the green scam, climate change, all that stuff. Now, you might go, that's nothing new for them to pretend climate change didn't happen, climate crisis isn't happening, all these things. But it actually is new for Trump to devote large portions of his speeches recently against that. He's largely been aiming his speeches against immigration, against so-called crime in cities he doesn't like, which means black Democratic mayors. So why would he spend so much time on, the green scam? Well, it again, and this is what you can't seem to get from any media, it comes down to the petrodollar. Not only for the US dollar to remain strong, not only does oil have to keep pumping everywhere around the world, we cannot switch to things that will sustain humanity long term. So we can't do that. But then beyond that, even if it's just slightly decreasing oil and slightly moving to green energy, then that harms the petrodollar, decreases the strength of the petrodollar. And then, of course, there's other reasons. They don't quite loom as large, I don't think, but such as the fact that the U.S. makes a lot of money by selling our energy, quote unquote, to Europe, and Europe should be getting their energy from Russia because Russia is a massive oil state, and they were increasingly getting energy from Russia, considering it's attached to them. It's next door. Massive pipelines could easily bring all that cheap oil to Europe. But then what happens to those massive pipelines? Nobody knows why, but they blow up. They just blow up. 3 out of 4 of them underneath the ocean off of Ukraine just blew up. And we don't know why. We don't know why they blew up. It's spontaneous. It must have been. So, of course, the U.S. blew up the Nord Stream pipeline in order to stop that very energy from getting to Europe.
Wind doesn't blow. Those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad. The carbon footprint is a hoax. It used to be global cooling. If you look back years ago in the 1920s and the 1930s, they said global cooling will kill the world. Doing it.
Boy, even Marco Rubio looks bored. Your number one sycophant, the guy who lives rent-free inside your butthole, even he is bored in the audience. The global cooling thing. And you'll hear that repeated by, some dummies like, I think Joe Rogan said it. There's been many others, especially right-wingers who, it used to be global cooling. Now it's global warming. Yeah, there were some people back in the 1920s who were worried, some scientists who were worried about global cooling. But guess what? Even at that time, there was more scientists worried about global warming. So there were scientists talking about global warming. And then once you get to a time where things were, where the science on it was getting more settled, more understood, you get to the 1950s, the 1960s, and internally, not average American, but internally at big oil companies, they knew that global warming was happening. And they start briefing the president on how global warming is going to happen because of fossil fuels. And then you get to the 1990s, and companies like Shell Oil were even creating, short documentaries, 15-minute documentaries on how the planet's going to start warming. Literally, you could go watch it on YouTube. I think it's called, Planet of Change or something change, Seeds of Change, whatever the fuck they called it, made by Shell Oil. They ultimately shelved it and did not air it anywhere. But you can go find that Shell Oil was making documentaries on how climate change, meaning global warming, was going to be happening. And yeah, so yeah, there were some people that got it wrong in the 1920s. Believe it or not. Can you believe way back in the 1920s, somebody got something wrong? What?
Because you want to be nice, you want to be politically correct, and you're destroying your heritage. We have a border, strong, and we have a shape.
Heritage is dog whistle for white history, white culture. That's heritage, right? When he says heritage, he doesn't mean, think about what heritage could mean. It could mean everyone's heritage, right? It could mean the heritage of so many amazing immigrants that have come recently to the United States. It could mean the heritage of African Americans whose ancestors were brought here as prisoners, and many of them have held on to some of that African heritage, but adapted it to America as well, to the more common culture in America, etc. You could have Native American heritage in this country, right? All of those are various forms of heritage. But what does he mean when he says you other countries, if you don't seal up your borders and arrest all your immigrants, you're losing your heritage? He means one thing very specifically. He does not mean a mix of heritages from various peoples. He means specifically white Christian culture. That is what he means.
And that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous.
So he's talking about borders, and he says, I just don't know, like this. They're amorphous. Of course, he doesn't mean amorphous, because that would mean you don't know what the borders are. They're always changing, right? They're amorphous. But instead, he just sometimes they're straight like this, and sometimes they take a line. There's another line, and what? And actually, he's accidentally speaking to how stupid borders are. Like, who decided the line goes there? Some guy, 1,500 years ago. When was that line? Oh, the river used to go there. Okay, what's that matter?
I was walking in and the leader of Brazil was walking out. We saw him and I saw him, he saw me, and we embraced. I'm very sorry to say this, that Brazil is doing poorly and will continue to do poorly.
All right. I've had enough. I don't know about you, but I wanted to break down some of his insane UN speech that everyone's talking about. All right. I now want to move to how it has come out from the gray zone that the largest Zionist backers of Charlie Kirk were pulling the plug on him weeks and days before his death. Please, everyone, click subscribe, click thumbs up. Please leave a comment. You'll notice your comments are on the screen there, so everyone can see them, even people that watch this hours from now. YouTube is absolutely punching me in the face every day with more and more censorship. And I actually am going to get in a few minutes to the fact that Google has admitted mass censorship. Google owns YouTube. So really it comes down to you guys. Two things are how you can make sure this show continues, which I think this show is is in a more tenuous place than maybe ever. There's two ways you can do that. One is by just being here, putting it on your calendar every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern to show up, because you're not going to get alerts. You're not going to find out about it. You just got to decide you want to come find it at youtube.com/ at unredacted tonight, or the podcast, or wherever you watch it. So that's one way. The second way is by joining up at leecamp.net, my locals page, and you can do it for free for a month. I'm giving away a free month. Go to leecamp.net, not leecamp.com. Go to leecamp.net. And when you go to scroll down to become a subscriber, become a supporter. And when you go to check out, use the promo code LeeCampFree, all one word, all caps. You'll also get my ebook, my newer ebook, Dangerous Ideas. It's also called Dangerous Ideas. You'll get that for free as well. So you get a lot of free shit, and you'll get all the extra segments for a month for free, loads of shit, and it's for free, and it helps support this show. And again, if you cancel within a month, it'll all be free. If you decide to go after that, it'll be $6 a month. And you can support the show that way. LeeCamp.net. Also, the community at Locals fucking rocks. Everybody at Locals, you are amazing and wonderful. And thank you for making this show possible, at least for the time being. We'll see. We'll see where a few weeks brings us. I'm waiting for YouTube to be like, yeah, you have negative views. We crushed them as low as we could. We don't let anyone know about it, but that wasn't enough for us. So now you actually owe views. Lee, you got to go and watch other people's channels you're contractually obligated to do that because you have negative views now. Because I don't know how they could crush this show anymore. Anyway, let's get on with it. This is from the Gray Zone. Ultra-Zionist billionaire Robert Shillman, awesome name, was one of Charlie Kirk's most committed donors. But as Kirk fell under attack for his increasingly critical Israel views during his final weeks, sources say Shillman ended funding for Turning Points USA. And some of you, like me, might not have known much about Charlie Kirk. I maybe knew his name, but I didn't follow his shit because I don't follow right-wing shit. But you can't overstate how large he'd gotten. I mean, 31 years old. He has a massive kind of empire, kind of media empire. Turning Points USA. Any big name right-winger will come on his show. He's in the White House with Trump. So about as big as you can get for a kind of YouTube personality, or at least he kind of started that way, I guess. At the front of TPUSA complex is the Bill and Rebecca Dunn Freedom Center, named for we done got freedom. Dunn Freedom Center, named for the late commodity trader Bill Dunn. Adjacent buildings feature plaques commemorating the mega donors who had fueled the rise of the conservative movement, from the Uline family, I guess, to the Koch brothers, to the evangelical Christian asset manager Foster Friess. Caddy corner from the Freedom Center is the Pearson Building. According to Turning Points USA Insider, this structure was to be emblazoned with the name of Kirk's largest and most committed backers, the tech mogul, largest and committed backers, the tech mogul Robert Shillman. And also, I'm bringing up this topic not because I'm certain Israel took out Charlie Kirk. It seems a little unlikely to me, but also because I want people to know how someone gets as big as Charlie Kirk. They have billionaire backers. This show has nothing but a few hundred people that chip in 38 cents an episode. And it is just a world of difference between what your average indie media, like myself, if you are left-wing, there are no billionaire backers. There's no large mega structure. You're not invited on Fox News or even CNN. It is the polar opposite of what you have from like a Charlie Kirk or a Ben Shapiro or these lunatics. And so that's one reason I wanted to highlight this, just like that insanity. But then also to highlight how much pushback Charlie Kirk was getting for turning on Israel, for no longer supporting a genocide. Anyway, let's keep going. According to Blazing Robert Shillman, a preeminent funder of the right-wing Zionist and anti-Muslim causes across the Atlantic, Shillman's millions helped transform Kirk from a young age into one of Israel's most effective Gentile assets. However, as Kirk drifted from the official Netanyahu-enforced line on Israel in the past year, expressing frustration with onerous demands from Zionist donors and hosting the leading conservative critics of Israel at his events, Shillman apparently grew resentful. Basically, it seems that Charlie Kirk, I don't think he cares about Palestinian people or cares about children. I could be wrong. I don't claim to understand the man, but or what he stood for. But it sounds to me from the quotes I've seen and stuff and from what people are saying is that he just tired of trying to defend Israel's genocide. It felt like a fucking chain around his leg, because he can't go and just do his Christian nationalist garbage. He has to also be like, oh, and Israel's doing good things in Gaza. It just became a nuisance to him, it sounds like. Few donors have done more than Shillman to fuel the influence of the Zionist movement's anti-Muslim pro-Likud wing inside the U.S. With this pen and a checkbook, I provide ammunition, the billionaire proclaimed during a gala of the right-wing Zionist Organization of America in 2021. Weeks before Charlie Kirk's killing. Laura Loomer, most of you have heard of her, far right-wing lunatic, but influential in the Trump White House. Laura Loomer blasted Kirk for his inconsistent support for Israel. She was especially piqued by Kirk's platforming of Tucker Carlson, whom she branded an uppity, waspy snob who serves as a mouthpiece for Iran and Qatar. Charlie speaks out of both sides of his mouth. His messaging is all over the place, and some of us just want to know where he stands, she tweeted. She went on to call Kirk a political opportunist, a charlatan who stabbed Trump in the back. So this is what these people, these far-right-wing people were saying about Charlie Kirk before he died. Then he dies, and now all of them have said, oh my God, what a visionary, what a martyr, what an amazing human being. Funny what you were saying a couple weeks ago. The Gray Zone was informed that Shulman announced his termination of contributions to Turning Point USA during a private dinner of another organization he funds, the American Freedom Alliance. According to an attendee of the event, which was held in Los Angeles, September 6th, Shulman stated that he would be ending his donations to Kirk, diverting them instead to a reliably pro-Likud anti-Islam groups like AFA. Likud is the farthest right-wing. It's Netanyahu's party. So in case there are supporters of Israel who are just slightly left of Netanyahu, this is saying, no, this is pro-Likud. This is pro the farthest right wing in Israel you can get. And so Shulman has just decided to pull his millions from Turning Point USA. Shulman's apparent break with Kirk capped a months-long pressure campaign from Zionist bigwigs, media operatives, and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu himself to bring the late conservative activist back into line with the self-proclaimed Jewish state's agenda. As the Gray Zone reported, citing one of Kirk's longtime friends, Turning Point USA founder refused an offer by Netanyahu to arrange a new infusion of funding into his organization from his stable of Zionist millionaires and billionaires in the U.S. This reporter also revealed that Kirk and pro-Israel billionaire Bill Ackman convened a secretive Hamptons retreat in August, where Kirk faced sustained cajoling and a bout of angry hectoring from Zionist attendees for his perceived disobedience. So this shows what awaits those who were supporting Israel's genocide and are big players in this administration or in the U.S. ruling elite. If they turn on Israel, it's not like they're just free to speak their mind. They have their money pulled. They are harassed. They are harangued. They are cut off by big, assets to their organization. It is full court press if any of these people start to hem and haw on whether genocide is okay in Gaza. And Charlie Kirk certainly ended up getting the wrath of Israel, even if they were not responsible for his assassination. And I'll let other people keep debating that. But I thought this was an important aspect of the story that is not getting a lot of coverage. All right, let's move on to how... Well, actually, real quick, before I get to Google's mass admission of mass censorship, I want to show you that the Gaza flotilla, which was up to 50 ships, has been attacked by Israel. I want to play a clip of one of the people on the flotilla, or on one of the ships.
Alert, alert. Unfortunately, the Global Smooth Flotilla is being attacked once again. It's the sixth explosion that we hear. The first was on Oela boat, the second on Yulara boat, the third on Otaria boat, the fourth on Maria Cristina, the fifth in Selvadia. We just heard a new explosion here. They are throwing flashbangs at us. They are jamming the radio communication. They are throwing chemicals like they did in Yulara. This is an attack situation. We know they have been doing these things for psychological warfare. The drones have been above us for a long time, for many nights, but now they are escalating into more severe and more dangerous types of attacks. We send this alert to the world. Pressure your governments. Pressure anyone to pressure the ones that are doing this, and we know very well who they are, to stop this attack. We are less than 600 nautical miles from Gaza. We are a humanitarian, non-violent solidarity mission. We are bringing food and aid to open a humanitarian corridor. We are protected by international law. We are part of the conscience of the world that knows that we cannot allow starving children to stay without food, without aid. So we continue going our mission, but we need you. We need you to rise up. We need you to pressure your governments. We are being attacked right now. So please spread the word. Please don't let this go unpunished and demand a safe passage for the flotilla.
There you go. Coming from the Gaza flotillas, they've been hit by flashbang grenades. They've been hit by explosions that have started fires on board. Here's just a quick image of one of the, let's see, one of the explosions landing. But you can see it's not small. It's not nothing. You know, people like to say, oh, it was a flare or something. It's like, no, these things have an impact. They shatter windows, whatever these drones are dropping. There's been reports of them jamming communications and using chemical sprays as well, which wouldn't surprise me if Israel's using chemical sprays on them, which again, war crime. All of these are war crimes. All of these are illegal under the Geneva Conventions, but Israel doesn't give a shit. I mean, Israel has committed every war crime there is. I would challenge someone to find a war crime that hasn't been committed by Israel. And so it's much like Donald Trump is trying to overwhelm the systems. If he just does everything at once, if he just has fucking troops walking down Main Street, he's black bagging people, he's firing all the people in government posts that he supposedly is not allowed to fire. If you just do everything at once, you overwhelm the systems and they can't fight any of it or much of it at all, which is Israel's aim as well. If they commit all the war crimes, then what are they going to get prosecuted for? Nobody knows what to do or how to do it or where to go. And that's their aim. But anyway. So yeah, I hope the flotilla continues, and I hope that no one gets hurt, because obviously flashbang grenades can actually kill you. I know that they're not grenades, but they can kill you if they land at the right place. So I had a friend who was in a anti-Israel protest, marching in a peaceful protest. The IDF shot tear gas at everyone, but they shot the canister directly. They shoot the canisters often directly at people's heads, which can kill them. And with her, it caused her to lose her eye. She lost an eye because they shot her in the eye with a tear gas canister. Okay, let's go to Google's admission of mass censorship. And, you know, they're making a point in this headline. This is coming from the judiciaryhouse.gov. This is their website. And this was brought by right-wingers, right? Republican Jim Jordan and others. And it's going after Google for their censorship under Biden. But there was censorship by Google and them under Trump as well. I mean, I was heavily suppressed in following 2016 when Trump was in office. So the idea that this is just under Biden is, of course, laughable. Trump wants mass censorship, right? Even the pulling of Jimmy Kimmel and Colbert and everything. I know Kimmel's back on, but that is censorship. And Trump wants mass censorship, and he's doing it in every way he can. So let's not pretend this is just Biden, but it's also under Biden. So the headline is Google admits censorship under Biden, promises to end bans of YouTube accounts of thousands of Americans who were censored for political speech. And for those of you who think this might apply to me, I can almost guarantee you they are not going to bring back the Redacted Tonight YouTube channel. In fact, I checked it recently. I haven't checked it in a long time. It used to just be, say, banned when you try to go there. Banned in your country. Now I think it's been erased. So I think the channel doesn't even exist anymore. But it says, today, thanks to Jim Jordan, a right-wing lunatic, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube due to political speech violations on topics such as COVID-19 and elections an opportunity to return to the platform. So they're allowing them to come back to YouTube and put them back up. Now, I would love for YouTube to just put back the Redacted Tonight YouTube channel with 250,000 subscribers, but I don't see that happening. Google also admitted to the following to the House Judiciary Committee. One, the Biden administration pressured Google to censor Americans and remove content that did not violate YouTube's policies, meaning it was, about vaccines or it was about elections, and it was not promoting, harming someone or violence, that kind of thing. The Biden administration, or I guess there's other things as well, nudity, showing drug use, maybe. The Biden administration's censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Number 3, the public debate should never come at the expense of relying authorities. Expense of relying authorities. If that's a sentence, I don't know how it works. Number 4, the company will never use third-party fact checkers. Number 5, Europe's censorship laws target American companies and threaten American speech, including the removal of lawful content. And what's a little bit hilarious about this, I mean, I'm glad that he forced them to admit anything, but what's a little bit hilarious about this is, meanwhile, so many organizations, I don't know about the details within Google or YouTube, but so many massive companies, massive corporations in the United States are just bending over backwards for the Trump administration, doing whatever Trump wants them to do. I mean, and then you have like TikTok is selling to Larry Ellison, the largest private funder of the IDF. And of course, the sale of TikTok started under Biden. So you can thank Biden for the sale of TikTok to a lunatic. But like, it's just hilarious to see Google admit to all this censorship and say, we'll never do these things again. What do you want, Mr. Trump? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. We will do that, sir. Because they're worried that he could, break them up. He could break up these corporations and harm them in many, many different ways. The FCC is powerful over some of these companies, obviously over ABC and Disney and Jimmy Kimmel's show. You have the Colbert example. Colbert, they've agreed to cancel his show in March of next year, and the reason is because they wanted to merge with Paramount, which is owned by Paramount owns CBS, and they wanted to merge with Skydance, which is owned by Larry Ellison and Larry Ellison's son. And in order to get that approval, they needed to be nice to Donald Trump. So they paid him a bribe of millions of dollars, a so-called settlement, but it was a bribe. And they agreed to get rid of Colbert. So, like, it's just hilarious to see them like, oh, we're really sorry for the censorship. We're not going to do that anymore, Mr. Trump. We won't do any more of the censorship thing anymore. What do you need us to censor whenever you need it? Just let us know, please. So, yeah, but that is a big admission by Google, which owns YouTube, which, of course, is the company that destroyed the Redacted Tonight YouTube channel. So I have a personal experience with this. And if you missed my prior shows about Jimmy Kimmel, he's not the first person to lose his comedy show. And he already has it back, by the way. So, but, mainstream media, they don't want to talk about me because I actually criticize capitalism. I actually criticize the U.S. empire. So I am more horrifying to them than absolute right-wing, anti-women, anti-gay fascists. Those people still platformed on most shows, still can go on Fox News and everything. But I, for being pro-women, pro-gay people, pro-immigrant, that doesn't matter. What matters to them is the fact that I'm anti-capitalist, anti-U.S. empire, and that is fucking terrifying. So, but speaking of the media consolidation, Israel-aligned billionaires seize TikTok. This is from WikiLeaks. Seize TikTok in a battle for U.S. narrative control. The White House has announced, and this is a really interesting thread by WikiLeaks, because it puts together all of the consolidation news, which, like, you'll hear little bits and pieces of it, but you don't often hear, all of it. put together like this. The White House announced that the forced sale of TikTok will be finalized in a week. The new ownership will be Larry Ellison, the largest individual donor to the IDF. He will take control of U.S. user data on TikTok and the algorithm, which the White House says will be, quote unquote, retrained. So one of the most powerful things with TikTok was its algorithm. Its algorithm that knew what people liked and showed you more of that. And so if you retrain it, you, of course, don't show people the things you don't want to show them, like what's happening in Gaza. Now, TikTok has already been censoring what's happening in Gaza basically since the genocide began. I was actively using TikTok from about October 7th, after October 7th, 2023, up to Christmas. It happened like the day before Christmas that they banned my account without a reason, without any right to appeal, nothing. Just account was gone. And most of what I was talking about was Gaza. So they've already, prior to this sale, like this sale is not going to change the fact that you can't really talk about Gaza, at least not get a lot of views talking about Gaza on TikTok. Ellison, who made his fortune developing Oracle, a database system he originally built for the CIA, already controls CBS, Paramount, MTV, Comedy Central, Showtime, Nickelodeon, Channel 10 in Australia, Channel 5 in the UK. Ellison also is expected to finalize control over Warner Brothers Discovery, which includes CNN, HBO, and of course, and the Discovery Channel, and of course, Warner Brothers, before the end of 2025. I think Warner Brothers Discovery also owns AOL, if AOL still matters at all. Even before the forced sale is finalized, censorship of TikTok content critical of Israel, including of the deal itself, has reached extreme levels as the platform moves to align with the prospective new owners. Fox, a Rupert Murdoch asset, is also seeking to join the Ellison consortium. So you'll have Ellison and Fox and Murdoch all as one big, happy fascist family. A move that could enable cross-promotion between Fox and TikTok, further tightening the Israeli-aligned information bubble. Disapproval of what Israel is doing in Gaza has risen to 60% of the U.S. population, nearly double the approval rating of 32%. The U.S. still has over 3 years of Trump left. Israeli-aligned Jewish billionaires control already OpenAI, Google, which is ChatGPT, OpenAI, Google, which is YouTube, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Palantir, CBS, HBO, most of Condé Nast, which owns Reddit, Vogue, The New Yorker, Wire, GQ, Vanity Fair, and of course, Washington Post and New York Times are already in Zionist control. Europe, meanwhile, remains largely absent, I think they mean absent in the fight, offering little real competition in the information space. Its one real success story in Europe was Telegram, which it managed to comprehensively alienate after France arrested Telegram's founder, supposedly for not handing over enough user data. Will the EU and other U.S. allies align with the Israelified TikTok algorithm or attempt to create a politicized alternative of their own? Decentralized alternatives like Keat and Nostr offer strong resistance to censorship, but are still young. Larger platforms like Telegram and RedNote carry serious risks of censorship, including eventual sell-off to other interests. For users, the sweet spot may be to use both, one for political reliability, the others for a politically temporary audience, which is what I try and do. For the most part, is I still use these platforms like YouTube and Facebook and things like that. I live stream on all of them because that's where the largest number of people are. So I don't think you should abandon the things that have large audiences. I don't recommend doing that if you want to inform people and create change. However, you need to have backup platforms, which I've tried to do. You know, I have my Rumble page, and then the probably the key backup platform I have is Locals, which Locals is I mean, it's owned by Rumble now, but it's kind of its whole mission statement is like, we're not going to censor you. We're not going to, there's no algorithm in it. So they can't suppress me by algorithm, which is what's been done on every other platform. But their whole mission statement is about like, we're not going to take you down because you said a word we don't like or something like that. And hopefully that means that those who support this show and those who care about this show are safe there to keep finding it there. If I get deleted even more, if I get suppressed even more. So that's why I'd love for you to join up at leakcamp.net. You can join up for free. You can use promo code LeakCamp, free, one word, when you're checking out. But anyway, I thought that was fascinating to put all of that like media consolidation. It also shows how this system works, right? Like, this is an inevitability. When you allow sociopaths to become the richest human beings on the planet, they will have the power ultimately. Like, you can't achieve any kind of control or power like that without a lot of money. Even Donald Trump, who's one of the poor ones, had billions of dollars before he got elected president. He was able to pay for all kinds of the infrastructure needed to run for president in the first place. He was able to pay to have his Twitter, which was his big thing back before he ran for president, to have his Twitter promoted to people, right? He was able to pay for all of these things and all kinds of assistance and everything else. So unless you have billions of dollars, you are not going to be at that top level, which means the top levels are the top sociopaths are going to control the levers of power. And what are they going to do? They're not going to leave everything split up into a million competing voices. They're going to crush everything together into a tiny number of companies. The only thing stopping all of this, like all media, from being owned by Larry Ellison, the only thing stopping it is the fact that we have some tiny little antitrust laws that are like holding on by their fingernails to say that like you can't own all the newspapers. You can't be one company owning all the newspapers or whatever. But those antitrust laws are almost doing nothing. I mean, you have massive media consolidation. Thank you, Ghost of Diogenes, for becoming a YouTube member. You can also join up on YouTube. I do not get as much of the cut when people become a member on YouTube, so that's why I tell you to join up on leakcamp.net. But I still appreciate it, and I love for people to support this show in any of those ways. Okay, so I'm going to go do extra segments over on Locals right now. Let's see what I got here. The mysterious disappearance of hundreds of immigrants detained at Alcatraz. Hundreds of people have disappeared. And a Trump official has been caught for massive corruption, like $50,000 in a bag handed to him, like printed cash, like the old wear a fake mustache and slide an unmarked suitcase under the table, that kind of shit. So I'll be covering that as well. The Trump official that has just been caught for massive corruption. Not just been caught. He was actually caught a little time ago, but there are very important new updates. Okay, so you get all that. You get all these extra segments for free if you just join up at leakcamp.net and then use promo code LeakCamp, free, one word, all caps, when you're checking out. And that will get you a free month. You'll also get my latest ebook for free. All right, see you over there. Everybody at Locals, hang tight. Or if you're on Patreon, you can also hang tight and to watch the extra segment. To everybody else, I see you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. So I hope to see you at the next live stream. Please join me.